You've seen this before, maybe on a farm, maybe in a documentary. A pig standing knee-deep in a mud pit that isn't really mud at all. It's runoff, waste, whatever's been draining into that corner of the pen for weeks. Water the color of asphalt, a smell you could probably guess from here. The pig doesn't hesitate. It drinks straight from it, then flops down and rolls in the rest, like it's a spa. 10 minutes later, it's trotting around, snout in the trough, completely unbothered. If you drank, or even swam in that same water, you wouldn't be trotting anywhere. You'd be on the bathroom floor, possibly in a hospital bed, possibly worse, depending on what was actually in it. So here's the real question, not why is this pig disgusting, but how does an animal's body treat what would be a medical emergency for us as an average Tuesday? Quick correction before we go further. Animals aren't invincible against this. Wild and farm animals get sick from bad water constantly. You just don't see it because a sick animal doesn't post about it. It goes quiet, hides, and either pulls through or doesn't. What we're really explaining isn't animals are immune. It's why the odds are so wildly tilted in their favor compared to ours. And that tilt comes down to 3 systems working together, plus one exception that breaks the whole pattern. Start with the obvious one. Acid. Your stomach sits around a pH of 1.5 to 3.5, depending on what you've eaten. That's already strong enough to sting if you've ever tasted stomach acid the hard way. Now compare that to a vulture. A vulture's stomach acid measures close to pH 1, strong enough that it can dissolve metal over time. Vultures eat carcasses that have been sitting in the sun for days, crawling with bacteria that would kill almost anything else that touched them. Botulism, anthrax, cholera-causing bacteria. A vulture's gut treats these like background noise. That's not a small difference. That's the gap between mildly acidic and an industrial-grade decontamination chamber. And it's not just about strength, it's about what the acid is paired with. In a lot of scavengers and opportunistic drinkers, that acid bath is the first of several checkpoints, not the whole plan. Which brings us to checkpoint 2. Before that water even reaches the stomach, something else is already working on it. Dog and cat saliva contains enzymes that actively break down bacterial cell walls. Lysozyme, specifically, which punches literal holes in bacteria before they even get swallowed. Cats reinforce this constantly through grooming. Every lick is essentially a low-grade antiseptic wipe-down. Pigs, and their wild relatives, boar, take a similar approach. Thick, mucus-heavy saliva that physically traps particles and pathogens before they can even be absorbed, almost like a built-in filter cartridge. It's part of why a pig can root through genuinely foul mud all day without it becoming a constant health crisis. And birds like vultures have highly acidic, almost sterile saliva of their own, meaning some of the defense has already started before a single drop reaches the stomach. None of these are perfect filters on their own, but stacked together, mouth then stomach, a huge percentage of what would harm a human never survives long enough to become a problem. Here's where the story actually changes shape. It's not really about strength at all, it's about familiarity. Every animal that regularly drinks from the same river, the same puddle, the same trough, is carrying around a gut microbiome that has essentially met the local bacteria before. Their immune system isn't guessing, it's recognizing. A wolf drinking from its usual stream isn't taking a risk. It's revisiting a threat its body has already cataloged and already prepared a response for. Take that same wolf and drop it somewhere completely new. Different continent, different water source, completely unfamiliar bacteria, and its odds get dramatically worse. Same animal, same stomach acid, same saliva. What changed is exposure history. This is the part most people get backwards. It's not that animals are built to handle dirty water in general, it's that they're built to handle the specific dirty water they grew up around. So far, everything we've covered is some version of faster, stronger, more acidic. But elephants don't fit that pattern at all, and they're some of the most frequent dirty water drinkers on the planet. Elephants are hindgut fermenters. Instead of a brutal acid bath, most of their digestion happens in a massive fermentation chamber later in the gut, packed with an enormous, dense community of bacteria that's already claimed every available space. When something harmful comes in, it's not neutralized by force. It's crowded out, outcompeted. There's simply no room left for it to establish itself. It's a completely different strategy achieving a similar result. Not a fortress with strong walls, but a fully occupied city with no vacancies. And this is also why elephants and animals like horses that use the same strategy are incredibly sensitive to sudden changes in diet or environment. disrupt that internal ecosystem, and the same system that protects them can turn on them fast. The strength is also the fragility. So why doesn't the human body do any of this? The honest answer? We used to, more than we do now. For most of human history, people drank straight from rivers and wells. And there's real evidence that populations with generations of exposure to a specific water source built up a degree of tolerance to it. Not immunity, but familiarity, the same mechanism we just talked about. But humans solved this problem a completely different way. Instead of evolving a gut built to fight contamination, we removed the contamination itself: fire, boiling, and eventually full water treatment systems. We didn't lose the ability to handle dirty water because we got weaker. We outsourced the entire defense to infrastructure, which, honestly, scales a lot better than a stomach that dissolves bone. So next time you watch an animal drink from something that looks actively hazardous, here's what's really happening in real time. A chemical gate strong enough to break down what it touches, a filtering layer before that gate even gets involved, and an immune system that isn't reacting blindly. It's recognizing an old, familiar threat. And every so often, like the elephant, the whole strategy flips completely. The defense isn't force at all. It's just leaving no room for anything else to move in. Different animals, different tools, same outcome. Surviving something that, for us, would be a trip to the emergency room.